Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today I thought we'd do something a little different. And you hear about all these different type cheesecakes. I've done a Basque cheesecake and I've done chocolate cheesecakes and I've done New York style cheesecakes. So today I thought we'd make a Japanese cheesecake. Whoa, very, very fluffy and almost like a soufflé. And sometimes they're called a cotton cheesecake because they're so fluffy. So I thought we'd give it a go and see what that is like so we can sort of try them all and go on sort of a worldwide tour of cheesecakes. But before we get started, I want you to click that notification button because I don't want you to miss any of my tips or videos, and I really want you to become a subscriber. So here we go. So you're gonna need an electric mixer and obviously cream cheese, and this has a little heavy cream in it. But before we start anything, preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you look up other recipes for Japanese cheesecake, some recipes go at 400, then they lower it. Then they're at 350, then they lower it. 320, and then they raise it. I'm just saying 325 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? We're going in the middle. That's what we're gonna do. This is a tiny cheesecake, so it's in an 8-inch springform pan, and I've actually put it inside a piece of heavy-duty foil because we're gonna be putting it inside a larger cake pan to make a hot water bath or a warm water bath to sort of make the temperature around it a little more uniform, because remember, a cheesecake is a custard. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, we're trying to coagulate the eggs. We're not trying to curdle them and get them angry so that everything is all gross. 8-inch springform pan, okay? I have sprayed the bottom only of the springform pan. I actually did a little bit on the sides with nonstick cooking spray, or you can use butter. That's up to you. And then I lined it with a piece of parchment paper that I actually secured with a paper clip, and I just made it a little bit higher. So in case this baby raises up a little bit more, and it could, every time is different. Sometimes they do rise over the edge. This is an 8-inch springform pan with 3-inch high sides. That's important. You don't want one that's lower sides, like 2 inches or 2.5. Make sure you get one with 3 inches. I'm gonna put my foil around it tight so that my water doesn't seep into it, because we don't wanna get our cheesecake to be wet on the bottom, all right? Some people line the bottom with parchment. We're not gonna do that. And I'm gonna put it on the side. Now, our cheesecake is in 2 parts. We are going to be working with a batter style, which is, we're going to make a batter with yolks first. So we're separating our eggs. And then we're going to make another type of a batter, a lighter meringue. And then we're going to get them together. And that's why it's sort of like a sponge cake. So in my electric mixer, with my paddle attachment, I am going to cream and get it light and fluffy, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter and 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese that have been softened. And if you don't soften them enough and your kitchen's really cold, you can put them in the microwave for just a little while. Just make sure you know your microwave. Some microwaves are really, really hot. So you just want to get it so that the butter is not melted. It just sort of gives to your touch, all right? So I'm going to get this going, and then we're going to add a few things to this, more than a few things. We just want to get this creamy, and because it is a meringue-like cheesecake, this Japanese cheesecake, we're actually going to put this heavier batter through a sieve. It's like very scientific, because we want to get all the lumps and bumps out. So while we have this going, and my cream cheese and butter was nice and room temperature, and I could really push into it, that's exactly what you want. At this point, I'm going to add my sugar. And this is just a 1/4 cup of sugar, granulated sugar. I'm going to put that right in there. Now, Japanese cheesecakes are not as heavy as a New York style cheesecake, nor are they as sweet. So it's going to be mildly flavored, all right? Almost like spongy, think spongy. And you can serve it with fruit, you can serve it by itself, you can just dust a little confectioner sugar on top. Now, some people serve it warm, so it's really almost like a soufflé, and some people serve it cold. I like to serve mine cold, but that's just me. And in each of these little containers, I have 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour and 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And these can help to thicken and give a little structure to our cake. Our cheesecake, so I'm going to put that in now. And then I'm going to put in my cornstarch. Basically, I'm sort of lightening the protein level of the flour by adding that cornstarch. And then I'm going to add 5 yolks, 5 large yolks. And now it's looking almost like a buttercream. It's thicker. So I'm going to add my yolks. Just going to add one at a time. Blend each yolk in before adding the next. All right. And then we're going to add some heavy cream and vanilla. And that's our batter, our heavy batter. So there's a heavier batter, and then there's a light meringue. And we're going to get the two together. And how you get them together, that's the key. Because otherwise, it's not going to be as fluffy and light. I'm going to get that big boy in there. All right. Now you have your rubber spatula at the ready all the time, because before we add our cream, we're going to shut down our machine, and you can see it's sort of light and fluffy, and it's very yellow because of the yolks. And we are going to scrape around the sides. Now I've separated my eggs, so I have the 5 yolks here. The 5 whites I have allowed to come to room temperature. So eggs are easiest separated when they're cold. So separate them while they're cold, and then what I do is I let the yolks sort of sit at room temperature about an hour before I'm about to bake, but the whites I may leave a little bit longer because I really want them at room temperature, because egg whites have a surface tension to them, and if it's not broken, you're not going to create the fluffiest meringue. So I just scrape down my sides of my bowl. I'm going to put it on medium again. Now I have 2/3 cup of heavy cream, not milk, heavy cream. And again, recipes are crazy for this Japanese cheesecake there. Heavy cream, milk, everything. You can see everything in the book. Some have a little hint of lemon juice, lemon zest. I'm going straight with the pure vanilla extract taste. 1.5 teaspoons right into my cream of pure vanilla extract. All right, I'm going to slowly pour that in. So put this on medium speed. Slowly get that incorporated. And because we want this super, super creamy, I am going to put it through a sieve. That's unheard of when you make a cheesecake. Usually you don't do that unless, you know, you've got some lumps and bumps in your cream cheese. And that happens. But we are going to leave nothing. To the uninformed, we are going to do this right. Okay. Now see, it's getting a little looser. It's incorporating the cream and the vanilla, and then I'm going to put it through a sieve into a bowl. And the bowl is pretty big, especially for a little 8-inch cheesecake. But I'm doing that on purpose because I need to blend in my egg white meringue. And that's what it is. It's a meringue. All right, so let's whirl this around a little bit. Scrape around the sides. Okay. Give it one more go around. Shut it off. Now I'm going to put it through my sieve. All right. Okay. Got to get this off. And you may want to push down on those the solids to get it to go through. And it's pretty thick. It's pretty thick. It looks like a cheesecake batter. Ha! Surprise. See how nice it looks? Scrape around the bottom. And if there are any lumps and bumps, they'll come out here. Okay? And you're going to have to push this through because this is already like a cream cheese batter. All right? All right, we're going to get this going. Some recipes don't put it through a sieve. Some recipes do put it through a sieve. There's a lot of stuff going on with this Japanese cheesecake. I'm telling you. So I'm just going to get that going. And here, see how it's coming out? Whoop! Wrong end. There we go. There we go. So you're just going to stir it with your rubber spatula. You can use a spoon. You can use a bigger sieve. And there it goes. And it's nice and creamy. And you'll see there may be little bitty bits of cream cheese that get stuck. Do not put them in. Okay, they'll get stuck in the sieve and you want to leave them there. Okay, here it goes. Do you waste a little bit? You know, you may ask me, well, are you getting all of it out? You're going to push in as much as you can. Push it through and you can see it coming through on the other side. You can see it. All right. It's going pretty fast. See, I have almost nothing left. Push. Some people say don't push. Just let it go through. But it's not going to go through unless you push. So it's like, there's so many variants of this recipe. So this is my riff on the Japanese cheesecake. If you don't like it, you can look up another one. But this is going to be nice and fluffy. All right. Keep it going. I'm going to scrape off anything I have here because everything is through, that's through. And I'm going to do the right thing, people. I'm going to take this rubber spatula, put it away. And now I'm going to get another rubber spatula because I need to scrape this. Remember, that rubber spatula touched stuff that didn't go through the sieve yet. So if there are any lumps on that rubber spatula, I don't want them in my cheesecake. Even though that is my favorite rubber spatula, it really is. I love it. All right, so we're going to put this away. Now, this is now ready to receive my egg white foam. So I'm going to take this bowl, and in order to use egg whites and make a beautiful meringue that's really worth anything and very voluminous, you got to get this completely clean and dry. So I will see you back. Okay, so I'm back. My bowl is clean and dry. Remember, if a bowl has any grease in it or it has any wetness to it, your egg whites will not beat up, and the egg whites must be at room temperature. It's really, really important. So I have 5 egg whites. That was the match to the 5 egg yolks in our heavier batter. So I'm going to put that on my motor, and now we're going to, and I also washed my guard. If you have a guard for your mixer, I washed and dried that as well. I'm going to be using my whip attachment because we want to beat these little babies up until they really give up and say uncle, and then they form this beautiful, beautiful meringue that we can fold into our batter, our cheesecake batter. All right, I don't believe I'm saying I'm going to be folding a meringue into a cheesecake batter, but that's what we're doing, right? Different. So I'm going to beat these up. You show them, Chef Gail. I'm going to beat these egg whites up. And I have 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is something you find in the baking aisle. Most of you know about it. I've used it many times. It will stabilize a meringue. It's used very commonly in meringues, not always in a Japanese cheesecake, but I am a believer in cream of tartar because it helps to stabilize and maintain the volume. It does not make it more voluminous, but just stabilizes. Once you get bubbles, like a lot of bubbles and some foaming, that's when you put in your cream of tartar. All right, so I put that in. If you don't have any cream of tartar and you want something that stabilizes, put 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice in there, or even a little apple cider vinegar. That'll do it. All right, but we don't want it to taste like apple cider vinegar, so you don't want a lot. All right, So as this comes to a sort of a soft peak, we're going to gradually add 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. So this will sweeten them, but sugar, because the granules are so hard, they come in between the egg proteins of the whites of the albumin. It goes in between and prevents the egg white meringue from getting super tight, like soap suds. Like, you ever put too much soap in your washing machine and it's really tight suds? This prevents it. Don't put sugar in your washing machine. Put sugar into your egg whites. So we're going to add them, maybe a tablespoon or two at a time. Okay? And we're building this meringue so it's really, really stiff peaks. And I'll show you what that is, stiff peaks. Okay? I feel like I'm making a sponge cake. Even I'm confused. Very unusual cheesecake, right? Now I'm going to put the rest of my sugar in. And I'm going to beat this silly until we get stiff peaks. And then we're going to incorporate it into this base of our cheesecake. I'm going to go grab a whisk. I'll be right back. Here I am. All right. So our meringue looks light and fluffy, and I'll show you what stiff peaks is. So you just dip it into your meringue, and if you can pick it up like this and you see like mountain peaks like that, like you could climb that mountain, that's it. Okay, so get rid of all that off of our whip. All right, and now I am going to add maybe 1/3 to 1/2 of these beautiful egg white meringue. Probably should have used just a little bit, like 1/3 to 1/2 even. All right, and these, more like 1/3, don't use 1/2, more like 1/3. And I'm going to incorporate it with a whisk, okay? So we may lose a little air. The whole purpose of making the meringue is to have air foam in here so that the air will help the cheesecake rise a little bit. And the eggs also give it structure. But I'm going to lighten this. This is the purpose of adding some of the meringue in here and just whisking it in. I'm just lightening it so that when we add light meringue onto a heavier batter, the heavier batter's not so heavy. Okay? So now I get rid of my whisk because I don't want to whisk the egg meringue or the meringue into this, because the meringue will actually go down. It will deflate if it has too much manipulation. So we don't want to do that. Now I use my rubber spatula and I go around, cut through the center and go around. So this is like patting your head and rubbing your belly. You got to do it like sort of rotate the bowl, and then take your hand, your dominant hand, and cut through the middle and just go around the outside of the bowl so you're incorporating those egg whites. And every once in a while, go through the center. And you can see this is a beautiful, fluffy soufflé cheesecake. What is this, right? It's like crazy fluffy, crazy smooth, if you can see it. Just gorgeous. So we're going to do this until we really don't see any streaks of white. If you do see a few, don't worry. Don't worry. It'll all taste delicious. All right. I'm just going to go through it and make sure I don't see any white on the bottom. Okay. We are ready to fill our pan. Remember, we have our collar. This is known as a collar, this parchment. So we're going to get this batter in. Oh my goodness, I hope it all fits. And it's not going to rise that much. That's why there is so much batter. So we're going to put that in there. All right, just go easy with it and keep that collar where it is. Don't move it at all. Don't touch it, and it will all work out. Okay, and then I have a tiny spatula so I can spread my batter around, my cheesecake batter. Soufflé cheesecake, or my cotton cheesecake. I like the name soufflé cheesecake. It's nice. I like that. All right. So I'm going to get this big bowl out of the way, and then I'm just going to take my little offset spatula and sort of move it around a little. So I'm just going to keep that in there, but I'm just going to move it so that I smooth it down a little. All right? Pretend that this is like the hand of a clock, and you're just going to go around and sort of smooth it a little. And then we're going to put it in our water bath. And I have boiled up some water in my tea kettle, and we're just going to fill and make a bain-marie, like a warm water bath. And we're going to do that so that we can give this beautiful soufflé cheesecake a nice, more gentle baking, okay? So nobody gets upset. So I'm going to bring this over to my oven. Remember, my oven is on 325. This is going to bake for between 50 and 60 minutes. It should be slightly jiggly when you take it out, but you're not going to take it out right away because you're going to leave it in with the door ajar for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to go to the oven. I'm going to pull out a rack part of the way. All right, I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to grab my water. It's very hot water, and I'm just going to go around the sides, you know, in that like moat. I'm making like a moat, and I'm just going to go up a little bit till it's almost halfway up, and then I'm going to slowly push it in. Okay. 50 to 60 minutes until it's slightly jiggly. And you can put a small sharp knife in the center. It should come out clean. And then just shut your oven off, but leave it in there for 20 minutes with the door ajar. And I will see you back. So look at my gorgeous Japanese soufflé cheesecake. It's gorgeous. And it came out after 50 minutes in the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. I let it stay in the oven with the oven off and then the door cracked open a little bit for between 20 and 30 minutes, whatever you have time for. Then take it out of the water bath, and then I pulled the aluminum foil off, lifted it off, and took the sides off. And you'll see it's really not that hot at that point. And look how beautiful and fluffy it comes out. You do want to gently take that parchment paper off, and it comes right off. And there you have the gorgeous Japanese cheesecake. I do hope you make this cheesecake. You will love it. Not too sweet, perfect. Perfect for a light dessert. And more than anything, I hope you become a subscriber. Till next time.